went to the middle of the floor, and Caitlin Clark struggling right there. You hate to see that.
Yep, hopefully that is not something major for one of those true superstars.
The moment Caitlin Clark went down, the WNBA did not just lose a player, it lost its sense of certainty. What followed exposed a truth the league was not ready to confront, and it shook everything beneath the surface.
And Caitlin looks like she's in pain after that pass.
The day Caitlin Clark got injured was supposed to be just another test of durability in a long professional season, but it quickly became something far more unsettling for the league. One awkward movement, one sudden stop, and the air inside the arena shifted in a way that could not be explained by the scoreboard. Fans held their breath, broadcasters stalled, social media froze and then exploded. But guess what? That reaction was not only about concern for Clark's health, it was about fear of what her absence might mean.
She had been dealing most recently with the groin injury.
Clark's injury did not occur in isolation. It happened at a moment when the WNBA's momentum was fragile in its intensity, but massive in its reach. Attendance was surging, ratings were climbing, new fans were tuning in for reasons that went beyond loyalty to a single team. Clark had become a gravitational force, pulling attention toward the league, whether she played at home or on the road. When she went down, the question was not simply how long she would be out, but how exposed the league would become without her. Hold on for what's coming.
Right here, she explodes, makes the backdoor pass.
Because the aftermath revealed a dependency no one wanted to admit publicly. Ticket resale prices dipped almost instantly for games she was expected to miss. Broadcast promos quietly shifted tone. Conversations among analysts stopped centering on playoff implications and started revolving around contingency plans. The league did not say it out loud, but the lesson was clear. Caitlin Clark had become a pillar, not just a participant. The injury itself became a focal point of scrutiny. Every frame of replay was dissected. Every medical update was parsed for hidden meaning. Fans demanded transparency. Critics questioned workload management. Veterans quietly nodded, recognizing a familiar story where a league rides its brightest star harder than it intends to. But guess what? This time the stakes felt higher. Clark's presence had redefined the rhythm of the WNBA season. Road games turned into events. Neutral viewers tuned in regardless of team loyalty. Her injury disrupted that rhythm instantly, creating an uneasy pause that no marketing strategy could smooth over. The league had grown quickly, but this moment exposed how narrow the margin for error still was. Behind the scenes, speculation intensified. Executives reportedly debated scheduling adjustments and promotional pivots. Media partners reassessed which games would carry national weight. None of this was malicious, but it was revealing. The league's growth had been real, but it had also been concentrated. Clark's absence made that concentration impossible to ignore. What made the situation more unsettling was the silence from some corners. While fans flooded timelines with concern, certain institutional voices stayed measured, careful not to suggest panic. That restraint, however, read as tension rather than calm. In professional sports, when organizations downplay risk, it often means they feel it deeply. But guess what? The players felt it too. Teammates spoke about stepping up, about resilience, about collective responsibility, yet their words carried an edge of awareness. They knew the spotlight had dimmed slightly, not because the product had changed, but because the audience's anchor was missing. That realization is uncomfortable for any league striving for parity and depth. Clark's injury reignited long-standing debates about player protection, scheduling density, and the expectations placed on young stars. Some veterans pointed out that this was not a new problem, only a newly visible one. Others suggested that the league needed to recalibrate how it balances growth with sustainability. Those conversations had always existed, but now they felt urgent. Hold on, because the timing of the injury magnified its impact. This was not early season noise or late season fatigue. It happened during a stretch where momentum was peaking and narratives were consolidating. Clark was not just playing well, she was shaping the story of the season. Removing her from that equation destabilized everything. The fan reaction revealed another layer of the lesson. Many new viewers openly admitted they were watching primarily for Clark. Some said they would still support the league, others said they would wait until she returned. That honesty unsettled purists, but it also underscored reality. Growth driven by a star is powerful, but it is also fragile. fragile. Speculation quickly spread about how the league might respond long-term. Would there be greater emphasis on load management? Would scheduling change to protect marquee players? Would marketing diversify more aggressively to avoid reliance on a single figure? None of these questions had easy answers, but they were no longer theoretical. But guess what? The most uncomfortable part was not the injury itself, but what it revealed about perception. The WNBA had made undeniable progress, yet Clark's absence made that progress feel suddenly vulnerable. It forced stakeholders to confront the difference between growth and stability, between momentum and infrastructure. Veteran players watched this unfold with mixed emotions. Some empathized deeply, having endured similar pressure without similar support in earlier eras. Others bristled at the implication that the league's fortunes hinged so heavily on one player. That tension simmered quietly, feeding into broader generational conversations already underway. Media narratives shifted too. Stories that once celebrated expansion and visibility now included cautionary tones. Analysts spoke about sustainability, about spreading the spotlight, about building systems that do not collapse when one piece is removed. These were sensible points, but their urgency betrayed anxiety. Hold on for what's coming, because Clark's injury also reshaped her own narrative. She was no longer just a phenomenon. She became a symbol of risk, responsibility, and restraint. Her recovery process was followed as closely as her scoring totals once were. Every update carried weight far beyond her team. Speculation about pressure intensified. Was she asked to carry too much too soon? Was the league prepared to protect its most valuable asset? These questions hovered without direct answers, creating a sense that the injury was not just unfortunate, but instructive. The terrifying lesson was not that the league needs Caitlin Clark to survive, but that it has not yet built enough insulation to withstand her absence without visible tremors. That realization does not diminish the progress made, it contextualizes it. But guess what? Lessons learned under stress often lead to the most meaningful change. The injury forced conversations that success had delayed. It exposed cracks before they could widen. It reminded everyone that growth without protection invites instability. As Clark worked her way back, anticipation mixed with relief. Her return was framed not just as a comeback, but as a restoration of balance. That framing alone revealed how central she had become. The league welcomed her back with careful optimism, aware that the lesson lingered. This moment will echo into future seasons. It will shape how rookies are handled, how stars are marketed, and how the league prepares for inevitable disruptions. Caitlin Clark's injury was a warning, not a verdict. The WNBA learned that day that momentum can be powerful, but it is also precarious. It learned that visibility brings responsibility, and it learned that building around a star requires more than celebration. It requires protection. Caitlin Clark's injury did not stop the league, but it forced it to look in the mirror. The lesson was terrifying, because it was true, and it cannot be unlearned.